What shall we start with? Okay. So, put your hand up if you've received and read an email titled Exciting Things Happening in September. I'm impressed. Margaret read it because she sent it. Oh no, it was Adam that sent it. Okay. If you looked and if you read the email, I'll just remind you, not because you haven't read it, because I want to remind you, that there is a few things happening in September. So throughout September, we are going to be talking and teaching into a few areas of our church that we are doing really well, but we want to keep getting really better at. So last week at our all-age service, Adam spoke on kind of the whole theme of the Messy Church last week was on welcome and hospitality. And we made beds and we made napkins and we made different foods and we made these signs here at the back if you want to have a look. If you weren't here with us last week, every team made a welcome sign. Can you tell which team had the kids in them? But they're amazing. I love that everyone kind of joined in. And today I'm going to be talking to you about welcome. And next week we have the most amazing Phil Moon back, more brown than ever, from holiday. He'll be talking about generational transfer and under fives. And then at the end of the month, there will be Adam talking about hospitality. And all these areas that we are talking about in September is what we want to kind of practically create teams and get better at, which is very exciting. So today I'm going to be talking to you about welcome and what that means. And this word welcome, it's very... I was thinking about the word welcome, because what does it mean? Because in English, it's just one word, welcome, English. But in Romanian, obviously my original language that I grew up in, it says, Bine ați venit, which is, it's good that you've come. And I love that word, it's good that you've come. And welcome. So, in Romans 15, verse 7, we read this word that says, therefore, welcome one another as Christ has welcomed you for the glory of God. Welcome one another as Christ has welcomed you. We have all been welcomed in his family. We have all been welcomed and we keep being welcomed. So we are meant to welcome one another as Christ has welcomed each one of us. And I've got some questions that we don't really... Well, we can talk about them. We might have time at the end to talk about them. It's something that I want us to keep thinking about. Because when I was discussing this with Adam and Phil earlier this week, it made me realize some things about welcome that I did not think out. So one of the first questions is, whose responsibility is to welcome people in your house? I mean, if you have little children, they might not be in charge of welcoming people in the house. My children are allowed to open the door if someone comes, even though they race to the door. Whose responsibility is to welcome people in your house? And what does that mean? What about this house? Whose responsibility is to welcome people into this house? Everybody. Yes, Samantha. She gets a sticker from me. And what does it mean to welcome someone? If I welcome somebody into my house, into this house, into anywhere, what does it mean? To make them feel welcome? Yes. Can you only welcome someone if you're the owner of that house? Yes. Yes, you embrace them and you trust them. You are welcoming someone into your home, into your most intimate place. When we have book club at our house, I'm usually in the kitchen making drinks, and whoever's there opens the door for whoever arrives a bit later. It's not their house, but they're still the one welcoming people into my house. Not because they are the owners of the house, not because I told them, oh, by the way, you're unwelcome tonight, but because they're there and the doorbell has rung and they're excited to see the next person arriving, and they open the door and they welcome them and they ask them for a drink. And if I'm not making drinks, then that person starts making drinks. But it's not their house, it's not their kettle, it's not their fridge. And I love that. I love that environment that we have created within our little book club. That means this is just where we're hosting it tonight. But you're all welcome, and we're all welcoming. And there is not really a I was not meant to talk about book club, so don't get me started. But I love our book club. What is the difference between hosting and welcoming? Because these got me thinking quite a bit about the difference between hosting and welcoming someone. Heart posture, love that. Yes. Yes. That's what I was thinking. When I host, and I love to host, and there's nothing wrong with hosting, I make sure the house is clean and spotless. I have a bit of a menu prepared. I know what time people will arrive. I hope they don't arrive early because then they, interfere with my timetable. The kids need to be in bed by 6:45 when they're usually running around at 7:30. So, everything has to go well. And I enjoy that because in my head, I create this environment where I want someone to just feel like they're just coming in and they don't have to do anything. They're just being hosted, which is lovely. And there's nothing wrong with it. But when I think of welcoming, I think of what we said, embracing someone, trusting them to come in. However I am, wherever I am. This week, I didn't prepare for this. Me and Brooke were talking over voice messages. Speaking on the phone, we can't. The kids are always going to scream in our ears. So voice messages will be easier. So we're talking over voice messages back and forth, and it's lovely. And at one point I realized that without being in each other's presence, without being in each other's houses, we welcomed each other into each other's week and day. By being so open and vulnerable and sharing and accepting of the other one, we just welcomed each other. And I was like, it didn't require my house to be clean. It didn't require from me to be in a place where I can tell her a perfect answer about my day and my week. It didn't require her to do anything else apart from just share. And we welcomed each other. And I love that. Because welcoming is more than just opening the door. It's more about it's more than setting a table. It's more about opening yourself up and allowing someone physically and internally to see all those parts, to trust them. So whose job is it? Samantha, back with your answer. Well, whose job is it to welcome people? Everybody's. Because we are a family. And a family must participate in everything, in the giving as well as in the taking. In our home family, there's 5 people, 2 adults and 3 children. Everyone has different responsibilities. There is no one in the house that just gets to be there and enjoy the benefits of everyone else's work. There isn't. They moan and groan about it at times, and I remind them, we're a family. We all live in this house. We all enjoy the benefits of the clean clothes and the clean house and the cooked food that I make, okay? So we all must contribute. Of course, my responsibilities are different than my 3-year-olds because we are different. But we all contribute in the giving and in the taking because we are a family. There isn't a person that just gets to enjoy all the benefits without thinking of everybody else. We apply that when we watch TV. We apply that when we want to go outside and we do activities. We apply that to everything. You should see my children's faces when I tell them we're going for a walk. Ugh. And I always say, but this is what mommy enjoys. And now they've kind of caught up on it. It's like, oh, we have to do a walk because mommy enjoys a walk, doesn't she? But then she takes us to the park. And it's not her favorite, but she takes us because it's our thing. And they know it's a giving and a taking. We're going for a walk because I enjoy the walk. And we're going to the park because they enjoy the park. Because what 30-year-old who enjoys going to the park and just sitting and watching your child going, watch this, watch this. But we do that because we are a family. And we give and we take. It's easy to think of it like that when it comes to your home. I can imagine in everyone's home, everyone has a different responsibility. In the Taylor household, where the children are a bit more grown up than mine, I can imagine there are different responsibilities that everyone has. Right, Sharon? They each have their room and they have to keep it tidy. And there's different ways. And you think like that in your own home. And if you don't, maybe say thank you to whoever does everything and maybe start thinking about doing something. Not looking at where's Andy? No. But it's a little bit harder, at least for me, to apply that thinking, a bit more unnatural to think of it outside my house. We often think in roles and job descriptions, in a bit of a consumerism way. If I do this, what do I get? What is my pay for this? This is not in my job description, therefore I'm going to see this one out. If I do this, I better ask for a bit of extra pay because my time says 9 to 5, and now it's 5:15, and nobody paid me for this extra time. And that's okay to some extent because, let's not get into job role descriptions and corporate and whatever. Of course you have to. But when we apply that to every area of our lives, we become consumers that are happy to consume someone else's hard work all the time. When we, in our family, when we slip of that, everyone does their jobs and everyone is involved. One of my children said yesterday, I cannot believe I have to put the things in the dishwasher. I already did it at lunchtime. So I had to remind them that I also cooked in the morning, in the lunch, and in dinner time, the same thing for the last 6 weeks. And they were like, oh, okay. And if I would have allowed that to happen, tomorrow we'd be like, oh, but I did it yesterday. If we allow that thinking to happen, we will find it very easy to take without a thinking of the giving. Not because we're horrible people, because we're human and we get into a habit and we allow ourselves to do that. And I don't want to allow my children to do that in my house. I'm not going to allow them to just be takers without giving. And this can translate into church as well. It's easy to see and enjoy the benefits, but not often to think of the effort that might have gone behind it. I have been amazed when I learned many years ago of everything this wonderful woman here does for Sunday morning to even happen. And I'm not going to pick too much on her because she won't like it, but I'm going to. Because sometimes you can come into a building and you sit down and you don't think of the unseen tasks. Because I don't. I think of them in my house because that's where I have to. If I don't do them, nobody will do them. But in other people's houses, in a workplace, in a coffee place, I don't think when I go to any other place like, oh, who woke up and put the heating on? I just enjoy that it's warm and I'm not freezing. But I do. I might moan and groan if it's cold and I don't see the heating on. It's so easy in our world today to think of me and where I want. The world is looking like it's become more egocentric. Not that it hasn't always been, but it's just this idea of me. What do I want? What benefits me? You do you type thing, culture. But the truth is that in my home and here, I am a part of a family and I have a role to play. So when it comes to welcome and welcoming people into this physical place, whose job is it? I would say everyone's. Of course it is everyone's. But just like my house, we might have different times and different roles for it. That could be by being here early and being by the door and saying hello to someone. That could be by being here in the building when someone walks past the door, past the person welcoming them. I love when I arrive at church and there are people welcoming me and my family. I love when someone at the door going, hi, hello kids, and they say hello to my children and they remember what they shared last week. And there are times when it makes me feel that whatever I bring with me is welcome. It makes me feel that I don't have to put a face on to be welcomed into this building. It makes me feel that if I have a cheerful face on, or if I have a stressed, tired face on, I am welcomed and I am accepted with everything. And there's been so many times when I'm like, I'm not going to talk to anybody today. I'm just going to go and sit down because I have nothing left in me. And the moment the person who was at the door smiled and gave me a hug, it's like, oh, they just knew. Because they did know, because God is in each one of us, welcoming us through each one of us. I love feeling welcomed into this building, not because the doors are open, but because there is a person there with a smile on their face. If I invite someone to my house, I preferably arrive at my house before they're there. And I prepare myself on the environment that I'm going to be welcoming someone in. I'm ready a few minutes before they come. It's happened to me one time for me to invite someone at my house and for me to still be out. And when I looked at the ETA on my sat-nav to tell me that I would arrive about 10 minutes after I welcomed this person to my house. And it was not a great feeling. Even though he was at home in his office and he could have opened the door for this person, just let them in. I was like, but I have to be there. My plan was never to arrive after my guest. My plan was never for my guest to arrive into an empty house and, I don't know, make their own cup of tea. My plan was for me to be there, to welcome them, to open the door, to say hello. Look at how clean my house is. Don't open that door. Everything is in there. And the truth is, this place is no different. I am part of welcoming new and old people in. By old, as in people that have been here for a while. I'm part of that. I want to be part of that. In Matthew 18, verse 5, it says this, whoever welcomes this child welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes God. The person you least want to welcome is the person most likely being pursued by God. And the time you least want to welcome them is in probably the time God is most open to using you. If I always do things when I feel like it, I'm not going to do very much. So welcome people when you're tired. Welcome people when you're inconvenienced. Welcome people as a way of right-sizing your own ego. Welcome the ones you don't trust, don't like, don't value, and don't just welcome them with British politeness. Learn to welcome people all the way through. As Peter would write, love deeply from the heart. Recognize that even when you get the welcome right, people on the receiving end of God's grace might not appreciate it. Sometimes the Samaritan won't return the kindness, but don't let that stop you from heading into the will of God. Don't let your welcome ride on someone else's response. Don't let your welcome ride on their response. Because I am glad that many people in this house and outside of this house have not allowed their welcome to ride on my response. Because I am sure there's been 1,000,001 times when I have walked through that door with the grumpiest face on my face and not in the mood to talk to anybody. And the person at the door did not think, oh, well, she's not in the mood, therefore I won't welcome her next week. I am blessed beyond the people around me have not allowed their welcome to be dependent on where I am. And I want to think, okay, am I allowing my response to welcome people just when they respond nicely to me? Am I going to invite so-and-so because last time they came, they brought a bottle of wine, but so-and-so didn't, so therefore they're not coming again? Or they came on time, therefore they can be welcome again. Don't let your welcome ride on their response. Welcoming someone into a physical place and into a church does not mean we have everything sorted out. It does not mean it is pristine and there are no other things to sort. But it does mean open arms and open hearts. There are times when I look around this building and it's beautiful and we're so blessed with it. But as I don't know, like my husband would like to say, as a woman that likes to look at details, I'm like, oh, if we painted that wall and if this would be perfect, then people would come in and it would be perfect. I do want to wait until this building looks the way I would like it to look before we welcome people. Because welcoming is not about having everything ready. Welcoming is about opening your arms and your hearts. With our closest friends, like I was mentioning earlier, this conversation that me and Brooke had, I didn't feel like I needed to polish myself before and my answers before I talked to her. Because we welcomed each other. So, we said that we don't have to welcome somebody only if you're the owner of the house. This is not my house or Margaret's house or the leader's house or the elder's house. This is our house. It is all our job to welcome. So, as I shared earlier, we will keep sharing and expanding on this and all the areas for under fives, hospitality and welcome, and we're looking to build a team, a welcoming team. There could be maybe being people by the door welcoming people. There could be someone in the building way earlier than 10:28 to say hello to somebody. We want to build these teams so we can all participate in the giving and the taking, because we're doing that so well, and I feel so loved and welcome in this place. But we can always keep doing it better. So at the end of the month, we will share more about how you can practically be a part of this. But keep talking about these questions. What does it mean to welcome? Keep asking questions, keep discussing these things with anybody, with the elders, with the leadership, with anybody, because it is important. If this when I realized some of these things as we were talking about them, I'm like, oh, now this kind of like light bulb went up about, okay, what does it mean to welcome? What does it mean to welcome in my house? If that's what I do in my house, how can I stand that in this house? So yeah, keep welcoming, because I love it. Great.